Hey guys, uh, what are you doing already in my chat? No one's here today. That's awesome. Thought I'd surprise you, but uh, you guys have got me figured out. I've been uploading about right before midnight every freaking day. Um, yeah, so donning and doffing. The next thing that I had to learn because of the damn coronavirus is that when you put on protective clothing as a medical professional, that's called donning. And when you take off your protective equipment when you're a medical professional, that's called doffing. And just the fact that the word on is in donning and the word off is in doffing made me think that this was fake. Like doffing was just a made up word. But then I looked it up, and lo and behold, that shit is real. Doffing is an actual word, and people actually do it, and it is not something that ends up on Pornhub. And yeah, shit, I never wanted to know. Never, but now I have a new word, doffing. Nick says he's going for walks and he's not stuck inside. That's great, Nick. That is fucking great. How you doing, Nick? So the dogging part of the title. I'm getting the title out of the way in the first 10 minutes of this, where I usually wait for 10 minutes, to let everyone get in before I explain the title. The dogging thing. I've heard from multiple people who have uh, inquired at local shelters, and apparently there are no dogs left to adopt in Denver. Now, this might be exaggerated, but there has been a run, at least with the professionals that I know of in that industry. There has been a run on dogs, and the reason why is because in the initial uh, warning to everyone that the state was getting locked down, that went out on everyone's cell phone as an emergency warning, it specifically said that walking your dog is considered an essential task. There's no way to get around it. Like, yes, quarantine and stay inside, but we're gonna calculate that it's an acceptable risk for you to go outside and walk far, like long distances, right? If you have a dog. So the Nazis that stop you, they'll ask for your papers and to see if you have an essential job, and that paper would have a number that they could call to verify that your job is essential. If you get caught outside, and you could get fined, or you could have a puppy dog and be walking this dog, and the dog is your free get out of jail card, no fine, no nothing. You're just walking your dog. So um, that's why there's been a run on adoptions at the animal shelters. It just makes me wonder about, like, human beings. Like, do I really want uh, people who only want dogs because they want to be able to have that free get out of jail card? Do I want them having the dogs in the first place? What happens if the quarantine lets up? Do all the dogs return? Are they just rentals, you know, to them? Are they disposable? I don't know. So this was the initial uh, thing that was sent out. I saved it for posterity, right? And the last line of it is uh, everyone needs to stay at home except to go to an essential workplace, seek necessary medical care, or to do an essential task like going to the grocery store or walking a pet. And that was the first uh, safety alert that we got, saying that the stay-at-home order was in place. The first introduction to the stay-at-home order told us all, walk your dog. You know, so yeah, cannot get away from the word coronavirus. It will smack me in the face like uh, just smack me in the face. It's just flying around looking to smack me, you know. In any like reel of like me going crazy that someone's gonna make where they like instead of Nicolas Cage goes crazy for 6 minutes, it's me. Go ahead and have me doing that. That's fine. That's fine. It'd be accurate. Um, Nick says that the toilet paper makes my office look very professional. Actually, it's just endearing. You know, I'm just trying to make a little bit of a joke so that people can get a laugh. You know, if any one of my clients were to tell me that it was insulting because they're about to run out of toilet paper, I'd probably do a drive by with my dog in the truck and go, you know, have some fucking toilet paper. I'll get more. I'm pretty confident. But yeah, I've seen real instances of people not being able to find any toilet paper anywhere and freaking out about it. So the generally going stir crazy thing. Nick says he's got 100 rolls. 100 fucking rolls. How many shits do you take per day, Nick? How many? Oh my god. 100 rolls. I don't know how many I have. This is a good portion of what I have, but how many shits do you take a day, Nick? It doesn't take a whole beehive on your hand. You have 2 years worth of toilet paper, like a nuclear war level stash of fucking toilet paper. The fuck, dude. Anyways, on to the generally going stir crazy thing. I'm going to tell you guys a story. And there are a couple stories that I've been putting off telling you guys, but this one happened today, and I don't have any feelings about the outcome if this person were to learn that I was talking about them. Oh well, you know, I'm done. So years ago, we're gonna call it 2010 ish, towards the end of 2010. You guys would have seen a video from me. No, this would be like summertime 2010. You would have seen a video from me uploaded called Dan the Man with the Master Plan and the Beer in His Hand, right? Say that 10 times fast. And what happened was a friend of mine from right after I got out of high school till right before I joined the Army, um, we kept in touch loosely over the years online through online gaming like Mud Games and EverQuest and World of Warcraft, shit like that, right? And then, you know, we both had different trajectories to our lives. Me, I went through like 6 years of the Army, got out as a disabled vet, went to GE and got a really good job and was making good money. Then I left there and I went and joined the union. I was an electrician down in Louisiana, making a lot of money. And in that time, what happened to Dan um, was he joined the Army a little bit after me, and his drinking got excessive. It was excessive maybe when I knew him for at first, uh, right out of high school, but his drinking got worse when he joined the military, and his occupation in the Army was actually he was a cook, right? He had to go to some of the tougher bases in order to be in the military. He was, I think, at Fort Bragg, and I believe he was an airborne spatula. Um, he was in units that were very rowdy and were very prone to going out on drinking binges. And one night he got into a fight in a bar, and another soldier punched his teeth out of his mouth. It was brutal, right? And he went from being a heavy drinker to a full blown severe alcoholic and was discharged from the Army because of his alcoholism, which it could have been self esteem issues, having his teeth knocked out of his face. It could have been just the natural progression of alcoholism. You know, who knows? But he wasn't a disabled vet. He was a dishonorably discharged vet at the time. And he was able to finally, after a while, get some dentures, and he still did not have a lot of self-esteem with what happened. And the alcohol burned every bridge he ever had. His brother and his brother's wife kind of disowned him together. Then it was his mother a few times disowned him. I visited him on one of my road trips that was filmed and put here on YouTube earlier in 2010 ish. And then, I was going across the country filming, religious road signs and whatnot, and putting them up on YouTube whenever I found them. And I was on, just really long ass road trips. And anytime I went through Arizona, he was in Yuma at the time, but he's been in Phoenix most of this time. Um, Anytime I went through, I would try to stop and see him. And his alcoholism got to the point where his liver was so shot that he could get fall over drunk with one 40-ounce bottle of beer. And what he was drinking at the time was, I think King Cobra was the brand. He would buy two Cobras, and he would have one that would knock his ass out, and then when he would wake up, he would have the other one. But he couldn't really drive at all, so he would go to the liquor store and buy two of these things. It would cost like $2 each at the time. So for $4, he could get fucked up like for 2 days in a row. But his liver was so gone that that was all it took. And he was the type of drunk where instead of gaining weight, he lost weight as an alcoholic. You hear about the beer gut, right? Instead of having a beer gut, he looked like he was on heroin because his liver was destroyed, and the only calories he was really taking in were from a bottle, right? It got really, really bad. So this went on for years. He was in and out of different rehabs and sober homes and programs that are strange hybrids of that. At one point, he was working at Diamondback Stadium for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was in their concessions because he was living in a sober home where the contract for running the concessions belonged to the sober home. And he worked his way up to the point where he could be at the game every day, selling peanuts and popcorn. And that was his job. And he was there for a while. He considered himself, after a good period of time, to be sober. So he tried to leave that place and go out on his own, relapsed very quickly, and went right back into that program. So he spent a long time in that program, like years. And then he had another stint where he said he was sober for about a year. And I thought that he could make a little bit better money leaving Phoenix and maybe, getting out of that sober home situation where they weren't paying him much. They were kind of making uh, their patients into slave labor. There's some wickedness to the recovery industry sometimes. And Nick wants to know if he's one of the people who inspired me to be an addictions counselor. And I will say no. He's one of the people that make me think twice every time I'm reading a book about addictions or counseling in general, because I know one of the worst cases that have ever happened, right? So in 2010, I flew him out to Lake Charles, where I was living, and he was going to get a job and start his life over. But in Lake Charles, rent was a lot cheaper, and I was just going to let him stay at my place for a little while. And he ended up going out to work with my cousin's husband on a construction crew, just doing general contractor type construction. He was doing roofing and drywall, stuff like that. And they started drinking over lunch. And sometimes they would only show up around lunchtime and have a couple beers, and that's how they would get through their work. And a lot of the under the table construction in the world is like that. They drink beer while they work. And so he fell into that very quickly. And then he started to isolate himself in my guest bedroom in Lake Charles. And I was working full time myself and then doing YouTube, and had no time to really see him. And really, I was trying to give him his space because I didn't want to get sick of him, him living in my home. And what I didn't see was he was actually using that in order to drink very heavily behind my back. And I didn't know even how heavily it was until I had already kicked him out. He was so drunk that it was changing his personality again, and he was only there with me for like 1 month, 1 month before it all went downhill. And I said, "Look, I'm putting you on a plane, and you're going back to your program because I'm not going to have this in my house." I bought a ticket and sent him. That ticket cost me like $200-300, and the way I saw it, it was going to be cheaper on me to get rid of him that way than it would be for me to keep on having him in my house, taking advantage of the situation where he was supposed to be sober and working, and instead he was isolating in his room, playing Eve Online, and drinking. And when he left, there were trash cans full of vodka bottles. And when I say full, I mean fucking packed. And I was like, how the fuck did he drink this much vodka when he's only been here a fucking month? And part of that time he was sober, and part of that time he wasn't, you know? And it was amazing to me that, top to bottom in these trash cans that were hidden in that spare bedroom, it was full of empty vodka bottles. Some of them had like an inch of vodka still left in the bottle, but apparently it was not worth going after. He just opened another bottle. Or maybe he was too drunk to realize that there was still vodka in the bottle. I don't know. But it was a lot of vodka he consumed. And yeah, couldn't have it in my house. Um, so I sent him back to that program, and he's been in so many different weird programs since then. He's been in subsidized housing where it's in a very bad neighborhood, and he was at one point sending me messages on Facebook saying that he found a way to stop drinking, and that was he could alleviate his depression by using crack cocaine. And as you can imagine, that didn't go well. You know, it just kind of further ate away at his brain. And every couple months, he would reach out on Facebook, try to talk to me. And, sometimes I would respond by just, recommending a good self help book, good books about all sorts of things that he might bring up, but generally keeping my distance because uh, over the last 10 years, he's just gotten crazier and crazier. Well, in comes world pandemic. And he had been sober for what he said was a couple months, but I can't trust him. But he starts trying to talk to me. And it's weird. He'll try to talk to me, but then I can tell he's drunk typing, saying, "Oh yeah, I've been sober for 3 months, except for today." And it seems like when he gets drunk, he wants to talk to me. And so he starts talking, and I recommended a particular book to him on trauma, and led him to getting the audiobook. And by about chapter 5, he went nuts and started talking about how the rest of the world doesn't have to worry about COVID-19. They need to worry about him because he's going to be coming after people. people that are going to be exploiting people in this tragedy. He's going to go kill them. And his random threats of wanting to kill people got worse over the last 3 days. And in some of those messages, he said that he went to a mental health facility and he smashed the countertop in the front of this mental health facility. I couldn't figure out which one it was at first. But he's sending me these messages that happened. I was like, how long ago was that? He said, about 2 hours ago. I was like, what? So yeah, he kept sending me messages. The very last message, I'll just read it to you guys because it's right here on my stuff. So it's so I asked, how long ago did you rip the countertop apart? He says, I don't know. Time is dilated, I think 2 hours ago. I'm amping up for a war. There are certain things only a combat vet knows. For one, you channel fear to anger and you fight to the death. And then he comes back a couple hours later and says, I drifted again last night when this fucked up individual was causing problems at a gas station. I saw as one of the potential people that can sell food, but I know U.S. soldiers are not authorized to operate on American soil. I told the shopkeeper that and more, and I wanted him to call the police if I was robbed walking away, and I stood back and watched the interaction between them. I had one of two choices: call the police or kill the assailant. Thankfully, it did not come to that. Then he went on to say, let me guess, you're going to try to commit me. And this is with no response from me, right? But at that point, I'm like, yeah, you're kind of a danger to the community. And it's good that you're realizing this, right? So I didn't respond. I just kept letting him talk, right? Then he says, sorry to say, but the medical systems are already jammed up, and I doubt you have the clout to cross state lines. Let me offer you a condition. Talk to me. Is that so hard? I must have attacked you when my brother took a shit on me. It's not your fault, and that is something I can't control. In the end, I level all playing fields. I was tortured by the best. Sadly, Hyde is using those techniques. He actually likens himself to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So then Thursday, 6/27, he says, I can see nothing but death and destruction. I don't know why I've been called back. I should have died. I'm done dealing with everyone else's problems, but I cannot comprehend all the screams and the death. There is something I must do, but I cannot do that. I don't know why I'm here. To survive, perhaps. I'm pretty good at that. It's amazing to see people's true colors come out. That was a little bit later. Then he says, he is right, chapter 5. And that's he's listening to the book on audiobook that I sent him to try to calm him down, you know. And then he says, emotion fucks everything up. It's something I deserve. I wish I had teeth, but they were ripped out by dental students. Why can't I read everyone? What the fuck is wrong with me? I wish I could freeze. I was taught that freezing means death. The reptilian brain is why I relapse. 2 hours later. I was not built for this. My creditors are hounding me. I can't even sleep. I try to tell them the fucking world shut down. This is going to end badly. Two hours after that. Immobilization is impossible for me. I was trained and abused too well. So I didn't respond, and he didn't say anything for a whole day. Then he starts talking to me again, and this is where it got me to that certain point where I'm like, yeah, I got to step in. St. Luke's was shut down. I have a simple problem. I need this alcohol removed from my system. I went to Abrazo, that's a hospital, another hospital. My fucking team from my mental health clinic wasted the paramedics' time. I tried to reach Copper Springs and they called the fucking police on me. The police said that I need to sleep this off. The world is fucking apeshit, and a lot of people are going to die unless I can react. I cannot. People are scared to death of me because I was already infected and I am okay. I need to listen to what you sent me, but the world is fucking interfering in that. What the fuck is wrong with me? I want to kill everyone and everything. This is not why I was brought back. I am amplifying. Tell me to back down, stand down. That will work, I think. I wasn't brought back to this world to kill people. I wasn't brought back to correct greed and stupidity, wasn't I? These people need not fear COVID-19. These ignorant fucks need to fear what I can do. And that was at almost 4 in the morning. And I woke up to that. And I basically just asked, where are you? Can I, do you have a phone number I can call you on? And I asked that because I wanted to feed it to the police. Um, yeah, this shit is making people go crazy. Um, as a clinician, I can't tell you specific stories from my clients, but I can tell you that people are looking at this coronavirus in the context of religious Armageddon, that it is a sign, right? And people are going fucking crazy over this stuff. So I called the police in the suburb of Phoenix where his mental health uh, place was, the one where he broke the countertop apparently on Thursday, and tried to tell them that he's basically ready to start killing people. And they told me that he actually lived in a different township and I needed to call that police. And so I did. And the police there did the health and welfare check and he wasn't home. And they asked me, are you sure he's not in like a mental health institution right now? I'm like, well, he sent me a message at 4 in the morning. I don't know where he is. Maybe he told somebody else, and then somebody else was smart enough to already have reported him. But it's never been that bad with him that he would so blatantly say that he's ready to kill people. At least Jamie in the chat is treating COVID-19 as a precursor to The Stand, as if that's the religious book. The Stand predicted everything. Would it be heresy if I proposed the alternate literary fiction religion and said that it was actually the Andromeda strain that was the better story. Do enough of the people watching my channel know what the Andromedan strain was? I don't know. What I do know is, oh, look. There he is. He just got back from the hospital. So I'm going to go deal with this. It's past midnight, so I've made my goal of crossing midnight every night with you guys. I guess I'm going to see if he still wants to kill people and see if I can direct some help his way.